Okay, I'm going to give you a little demonstration on VLANs, virtual LANs. Oh, that's pretty funky. Okay. Yeah, so by default, here's a switch, a 24-port switch. All 24 ports right now are on the same LAN. What that means is they're on the same broadcast domain. So if you send a broadcast in port 1, that broadcast will be duplicated and sent out all 24 ports. All 23 remaining ports. It doesn't come back out the port you sent it into. Okay, so what we can do with VLANs, I've got paint going here, is we can make this a little bigger. We can take our ports and we can divide them up. So let's say I want to put 4 ports on one VLAN, like that, and then the next 4 ports on another VLAN. And so this would be like VLAN 10. It might be administration, and this could be VLAN 20, and it could be engineering. I'll just go engineering like that. So a VLAN has to have a name and a number, and then these guys are all on the default VLAN. I think it's VLAN 1 is the default VLAN. So what we can do is we can take these 4 ports and isolate them from the other ports, so that now if you send a broadcast in port 1, it'll only come out 2, 3, and 4. These guys over here won't hear it. Same thing here. If I send a broadcast in switch port 5, it'll come out 6, 7, 8. These guys don't hear it. These guys don't hear it. So that's the idea of VLANs, is to be able to do that. So let me show you how that's done in Packet Tracer. So here's my switch, and there's my ports. So I want to put 1 to 4 on VLAN 10 and 5 to 8 on VLAN 20. So the way you do it is you go into config, and it's a 2-step process. The first thing you have to do is go over here where we're in config, VLAN database. And this is where we give the VLAN number and the name. So I'm going to call VLAN 10 is going to be admin, add, and VLAN 20 is going to be engineering, add. So I've now got these VLANs. There's some default. VLAN 1 is the default. Here's VLAN 10 as admin, and VLAN 20 is engineering. And then you've got these other default VLANs that exist for some legacy reasons. Anyway, so we've got VLAN 10 and 20 on this switch. Okay, now the next step is to assign the switch ports to the VLANs. So here's all 24 ports, switch ports, and right now Fast Ethernet 1, the first is on VLAN 1. There it is there. This is TX ring limit 10. So VLAN 1, I can choose to put it on VLAN 10 admin. And then I'll do the same for VLAN, or for switch port 2, put it on VLAN 10. 3, put it on VLAN 10. And 4, put it on VLAN 10. Okay, and I'll do 5, I'll go on VLAN 20. 6, VLAN 20. 7, VLAN 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 on VLAN 20. Okay, so I'm done. I created the VLANs and I assigned the switch ports to the VLANs. And when you mouse over, you can see the VLANs listed. 4 ports on 10 and 4 ports on 20, and everybody else is on VLAN 1. Okay, so now you can bring in a computer. Bring in another one as well. And if I plug them in, let's put them in separate VLANs. So that guy will go in number 1. This guy will go in number 5. Okay, so if I look, I'll go fast forward. If I go here and look, I can see first switch port 1 is up and the 5th one is up. They're in different VLANs. So they cannot communicate with each other. In order for these two guys to communicate, they would need a router. So in order for them to communicate, we would have to add a router and plug one interface, Fast Ethernet 0, into VLAN 10, and we'd have to plug Fast Ethernet 1 into VLAN 20, which is port 6. Okay, and obviously I have to turn those interfaces on. Oh, there they are, yeah. Turn it on, and turn it on, and then they will come up. Okay, so we can now communicate between the VLANs thanks to the router. Now I haven't done any IP addressing yet, and of course that's absolutely necessary for these guys to communicate, so let's cannot launch the PC software script module because the effective dates of its certificate are invalid or the certificate is blacklisted. Script module author. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I was fiddling around with Packet Tracer. Okay. I hope that is okay. I don't know why it said that. Okay, so I'm going to configure the address. So 192.168. Now the subnet ID, I'm going to go with 10.10 because the first VLAN is VLAN 10. And this guy will be 192.168. I'll use 20.10 because it's a good idea to somehow correspond your subnet identifier with your VLAN identifier, if possible. The only problem with that is VLAN numbers. VLAN numbers can go like into the thousands, right? And the subnet identifier can only go to 255. So that kind of breaks down at some point. But anyway, you should try to plan your subnetting and your VLANs to somehow correspond. Okay. So I've got these guys connected. I'm going to plug a second computer into VLAN 10 just so that I can communicate within the VLAN. So I'll plug this guy into Fast Ethernet 3 and I'll give him address 11. 10.11. Okay? There. So now I should be able to ping 11. Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm able to communicate with this guy. So the ARP broadcast went out. This guy responded back with his MAC address and everything. Okay, but I can't ping outside of my VLAN. I cannot ping 20.10 because I don't have a gateway. I haven't set up the gateway address on the router. The router's addressing I haven't done yet, so that's all got to be done. So my gateway will be 10.1, which will be this guy's Fast Ethernet 0 interface. So let's set that up. Config Fast Ethernet 0 192.168.10.1. And while we're here, we'll do Fast Ethernet 1 will be 192.168.20.1. Right? That's 10.1, that's 20.1. I've set up the gateway here. I haven't set this guy's gateway up. I should do that as well. So 10.1. And this guy, his gateway will be 20.1. And now we should be able to communicate between VLANs. So now if I ping 20.10, the first one will time out because of ARP doing its job. But the next one and subsequent ones will respond. So there we go. We've got our VLANs configured. Now the last thing I want to demonstrate is how to set up a trunk port. So typically I use ports 23 and 24 as trunk ports. So the way you do that is, instead of it being an access port, so I've selected port 23, instead of it being an access port, you just set it to be a trunk port. So I'll make 24 be a trunk port as well. So you can mouse over your switch and you can see that port 24 and 23 are not assigned to any VLANs. Okay? So they are trunk ports. So what you can do now is, you've got your VLANs configured on your switch. You can copy and paste your switch. So this switch has all the VLANs configured as well, and the trunk ports. So in order to communicate between switches and use trunk ports, we plug into the trunk port with a crossover cable. The reason that we use a crossover cable is because the ports are like ports. They're the same kind of ports. They're switch ports. Whenever you connect switches to switches or PCs to PCs, you have to use crossover cables. Okay? So this guy right now is on VLAN 20. He's configured for addressing on VLAN 20. So I'm going to plug him into port 5, which is on VLAN 20. Right? Port 5 is on VLAN 20. So now I should be able to ping from this guy. And I'm communicating with that PC across there. And this guy here, same thing. I'm going to plug him into VLAN 10 on this switch. He's got IP addressing on VLAN 10, right? He's 192.168.10.11. So I should also be able to ping 192.168.10.11, and it works. Okay, so as the traffic goes out the trunk port and back into this trunk port, it is tagged with 802.1q 802.1q tagging. So I can look and see none. I just want to look at ICMP. There we go. So I'm gonna ping. Let me close this for now and move everything over. There we go. Okay, simulation. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna ping 10.11. So that will goes to the switch, and now it goes across yeah, that's thrown away. It must, I wonder, oh, I guess, yeah. Anyway, it comes over here, and on the inbound PDU you can see it's Ethernet 802.1q, and the VLAN identifier is this one, TCI 0xA. 0x, as you know, means hex. You should know that from your C++ course. 0x means hex, and A is 10 in hexadecimal. So that's the VLAN identifier. It's extra information added to the Ethernet frame. If we look at the outbound, it's back to regular Ethernet 2. Inbound is the tagged, and outbound is the Ethernet 2, which is your regular Ethernet frame. Okay, so that shows the tagging as it goes across here. So the inbound was the tagged one. Okay, and then you can capture, and goes to the right PC, comes back, And now the outbound will be tagged. The inbound is not. So outbound is tagged VLAN 10. Okay? So that's how VLANs work in Packet Tracer. It's really nice that you can copy and paste the switches. Once you've configured one, you can copy and paste the switches for so that they have the identical VLAN information in them. Okay?